Welcome to Pop and Politics.
Welcome. Hello and welcome to Pop and Politics. Again, we are live. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and also like this video. If you're watching on Facebook, also share the video and like the page. Also comment throughout our feed tonight. We will be checking the comments and responding to them. All right, so we are happy to be here again another Wednesday evening, and we are going to start at the top of the hour right with our Declare It a Crisis. This is a campaign that we have been pushing for the last several months to highlight and show the violence going on in Baltimore City and the victims of this violence. Today, we want to bring to you the name Zori Pitts. Zori Pitts was found on May 15th at 8:30 a.m. killed by blunt force. She wasn't even 1 year old yet. So we want to, if you are on social media, please hashtag DeclareltACrisisBaltimore. Again, we are highlighting and shedding a light on the crime that is happening in Baltimore, the epidemic of crime, and it appears that our leadership is not doing anything about it. We also want to mention today marks 151 murders in Baltimore City, and there was a mass shooting in downtown Baltimore City near Lexington Street. I believe West Lexington. Several people were injured, and do you know how many? One person has already passed away.
And one of the people that was injured was a 16-year-old boy.
Yes. So again, we've been talking about this for months on months. The crime that is plaguing our city, and it's youth and women who are affected by this. So please hashtag DeclareltACrisisBaltimore. Let our leadership know they need to do something about this. All right. So we are moving right along. Again, we're going to get right into our topics. So today we are starting off with Xandria. What do you have for us as far as topics today?
Sure. So I'm not somebody that's typically that interested in celebrity life or celebrity gossip. I don't really care what they do, right? But I found this story kind of interesting because Chrissy Teigen is going from this canceling people position to now being canceled somewhat. Not really, hasn't impacted her all that negatively, but I just think it's kind of interesting because we always see that it's so easy for the left to cancel the right, but there's never repercussions on the left, and they never really taste a piece of their own medicine. And I think it's happening very slowly, but this was just kind of an interesting situation. So she, for years, she was essentially a cyberbully to people. She was very good at using Twitter, but kind of used it to harass people. And a lot of her tweets have recently resurfaced, and it's starting to bite her in the butt because her comments were not only, they weren't just anybody, a lot of them included minors.
Wow.
For example, one of them was Courtney Stodden. She tweeted, "Go to sleep forever." RT, right? Then here's another example, like Lindsay Lohan, who we know had mental illnesses. She said, "Lindsay adds a few more slits to her wrists when she sees Emma Stone." And then
this is when they were children.
So I don't think Lindsay, she was probably a teenager, right? Or a little older. She might have been a young adult. Courtney was a minor. And then there were also other individuals whose career she affected, just, I don't know, offline. They got into a battle, and one of the guys, for instance, she had texted him things like, "You might as well be dead. Your career is over. Just watch." And she would go out of her way to talk to other people this guy was in the fashion industry, and she would go out of her way to talk to people in the fashion industry and say, don't work with him, don't work with him, based off of a false premise that like, oh, he was racist, he was that, and it
Yeah, there
turned
was some
all
kind of
out
accusation.
right to all be a rumor. It all turned out to be a rumor. So, anyways, she recently, I think it was June like 2nd or recently, she put a public apology out, and she got a lot of backlash actually for her old comments that resurfaced, but people were like, hey, is this a legit, genuine apology, or are you just monetizing the situation, right? So I had a few kind of, questions around this that I thought would be interesting to discuss with you guys. So one,
Well, let me ask you before you go into that. What is your point? What is your take on that? As far as, do you
Sure.
think what is the cancel culture? Do you
Yeah.
think it's okay to cancel? And what
Right.
do you feel about that?
so I'm not a fan of cancel culture for anybody. I mean, the point is to have discourse, and I think that it's okay to troll people. It's okay to disagree online. It's okay to not like someone, but there's a fine line between trolling someone and harassing someone and cyberbullying someone. And as far as it's concerned, I don't believe that she should be canceled, but I think it's time that they get a taste of their own medicine because they don't realize the impact that it's having on our society. And I don't think that until the left is canceled more frequently, like things are going to resume to normal.
Yeah,
So let me see before we go there.
I
what is
think
your
I
response?
think that I believe in the cancel culture when it's something that, like, if we're canceling and when it's shame and something that we need to cancel. But just because someone doesn't agree with something, I don't think we should cancel them, or they do something that we don't like, then cancel. First of all, Chrissy Teigen is nobody.
I was going to ask. That's right.
She's John Legend's wife.
Right.
What is the?
She
hoopla
has no say so
Right.
in canceling anybody. Her harassing. She must be. I remember seeing a picture of her with no bum on getting out of the pool. So maybe she just needs to be satisfied with herself before she tries to bully
really,
someone else.
So
What is the?
And
she started as a supermodel, right? And what people liked about her was her bluntness and her not being politically correct. That's actually kind of what got her little rise to fame, is that they were like, oh, she doesn't fit this supermodel stereotype of being proper. She says what's on her mind. But why is it okay when it's her, but not okay when
and
it's
the
somebody
way
like
that
Trump?
Right.
That's
That's
my
a good
issue.
point,
That's
So,
my
yeah.
And the
problem
way
is
that
the double
she
standard.
is addressing these people, it really seems it comes from insecurity. I
Right,
mean,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah.
when you're telling a person something that harsh, like something like you
And
gotta
irrelevant.
die, or like that comes from some kind of deep insecurity that she has about herself. I was I don't know if you read about the fashion designer. I did hear today. Well,
Casella, yes.
but I heard on the radio today, it was kind of like they were almost justifying her because they were saying that this fashion designer, he was not nice to her at some point when she came to show off her, his clothing, and
Right.
so he said something about her body and her not being able to fit in one of his
I mean-
outfits. And so he might have said something to her that hurt her feelings, and so she wasn't able to, walk that time. And so that kind of sparked. So that shows that she was personally hurt by this, and then
she
she went
did.
on. She lashed out against him.
Give me a razor and let me slit my own wrist, okay?
Wait.
Chrissy Teigen. First of all, people will follow anyone just to say that they're following whoever these celebrities are. Number one. Number two, Chrissy Teigen. So what? She couldn't walk down a catwalk in a
Right.
dress.
Right,
I
get
mean,
over yourself.
she's a model. That's what happens
Right.
to all of the models.
Exactly.
Like they all
Yeah.
get.
I don't understand the
criticism.
relevance or the importance. If she's going to be canceled or cancel someone, who the heck cares? I mean, it's not going to make me lose any sleep one way or the other.
Right.
Well,
I
my
mean, what's
question,
your
though,
relevance?
So
canceling
really
her?
quick,
that would be the question.
She did say in her long apology, like, hey, I'm a different person. I was very insecure. These were acts of insecurity. And she admitted to all this, but, like, should old, because for example, with all the Kavanaugh stuff, right? And I realize that's different, right? But it was this people jumping on to this supposed, they didn't even have evidence
Right.
for it, and they're saying something that happened over 20 years ago, if even true, should come back to haunt this man, and they ruined his
Right.
life and
Or
his family's
Trump
life.
saying something
Right.
years
So
and years ago.
why is Chrissy
Anyone.
Teigen
Yeah.
Because she's on the
not
And again,
allowed, not
radio
treated the same
Yeah.
way.
Well, what are you
You
saying?
know?
So you're saying that because the left cancels and makes a big deal out of this stuff, so now she's getting canceled, and then she's feeling like she's being bullied.
Right.
Is that
I
what
don't
you're
know
saying?
that she feels like that she's being bullied. She did apologize, but my thing is, are we going to give her a pass? Because I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe that things from years and years and years ago should haunt people, but she actually affected people's livelihoods.
She was
like,
bullied.
They
She was
were,
the bully.
They
Yeah.
were committing, they
Right.
were suicidal, some of them.
I mean, I'm going to
So
push back
this
on
is
that.
very different.
First of all, I don't agree with anyone causing someone else to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So I don't even know Chrissy, whatever her name is, Tegan, but now she could have been harsh, unnecessary, but I'm not going to say that she caused someone to commit suicide.
No, and I'm not.
If someone is at the point of committing suicide,
Well,
then golly,
well,
they already
wasn't
had
there-
someone.
But
who
wasn't
was-
there-
That's a separate
She
issue.
Wasn't there a
harassed
court
him
case
enough.
like that? There was
Yes.
a girl that
girl and the
pushed
boyfriend.
a boy towards
But,
suicide, and he actually did it.
With
Yes.
this guy,
That's a separate
the
issue.
story was that he could not get work for years based
Okay.
on the way
Because of
that
that,
she
yeah.
defamed him
Blacklisted.
and ruined his reputation. And that was what
It
he
was
went
because
every
she got
that was
hurt,
everything he put his effort
his-
into.
you know,
Right.
What he because he didn't allow
So
her
I
to
just-
walk on the runway that one day.
Put her to bed.
I don't
I
like
mean,
the double
yeah.
standard, that's all.
So that's what you're saying,
don't-
that the double standard
Right.
meaning
if you were gonna treat the right, canceling us and this and that, and the left can't take what they dish out, then
They never
sorry.
can. They
Sorry.
never can.
So
take
again,
what
on the
they
radio today, I heard them justifying her and saying like, well, what about this cancel? What are the rules of cancel culture? That's what they're saying. Well, should we judge somebody by something that a person did years ago? So I feel like the left wants to
Well, it's
justify her.
Only when it's convenient. Only when it's convenient, they'll justify
Yeah,
something.
I mean,
else. And we know
honestly,
that.
I think we're looking at it the wrong way, because cancel culture is basically when these companies decide to stop any type of connection or holding these people as their spokespeople. So really, it's not us that cancel; it's the company, the corporations
Yeah.
that align with these people. So
No, it's the people. I think it's the people too. Yeah, the media, because they have a say-so in controlling the way that people think, and these people aren't just smart enough to realize that. But then we have the groups of people who are like, yeah, everybody, let's cancel because somebody told us to, and she's doing something that we don't like. And it's the modern day bully, the modern day mean girls.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, and so these mean girls are now,
A
being
whole
taken
social media.
right, taken to cat.
Right.
I don't
but
think
we'll
they
go ahead.
will.
You'll have the last word.
So I was just gonna say, I don't think they will cancel her because of who her husband is and blah 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 blah. Right? They're gonna justify her somehow.
Right.
But the reality is, she actually impacted people's lives for a long time. She is saying, "Hey, I'm not asking for forgiveness. Let me, do what I can to change." Right? But again, just the double standard, I think, needs to be pointed out because it's unfair.
It is. All right. We'll continue to watch that story. And now we're moving on to a new segment. So we have a new segment, and it's called Pop Off. All right. So this is a segment where each host will pop off on an issue or a news headline thrown at them. So the hosts don't know. I'm going to ask them, throw an issue at them.
Oh, wait, it's a surprise. I didn't right, because I didn't know.
So I'm going to throw an issue at each host, and I want to get your guys' perspective or opinion on the issue.
Oh, that's fun.
All right, so it's pop off, popping politics, popping off.
never curse.
Yeah, do it
Shelly,
anyway.
you're not going to curse anyway.
So we will start. I'll start with you, Shelly. All right. So let's hear what you got to pop off on this. So as we all know, Ocean City this week, last week, had a huge melee. So basically, officers were kneeling and handcuffing unarmed teenagers after they allegedly refused to stop vaping on the boardwalk. So now came out today, Maryland NAACP calls for the Ocean City police officers in the arrest video, because there was this video that shadowed it, to be removed and until investigation is complete. So in about 30 seconds or less, can you just give your thoughts on this? Should the police officers be removed? And if you saw the video, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, disclaimer, I did not watch the video, number one. Number two, it sounds like the same playbook from the left that these black young guys are now the victims of police brutality or excessive force. Now again, I did not see the video. So it's very possible that maybe the officer was a bit excessive, but I do have it on some good authority from people who I know who are actually in Ocean City this weekend.
Okay.
And the information that I was given was that these young guys were there, they were taunting the police, they were being disruptive, unruly, they were not following the law when the officers asked them to put the vaping out. Now, my last point is to this, and I've had this discussion over the last couple of days, I actually think those laws for not smoking or not vaping, I think they are excessive and unnecessary. It's a public space. You are outside in air, fresh air. Why can't you smoke? Now, granted, that's a separate issue. That is the law that's on the books. So I think we can use our police officers better, use their time better than telling people or arresting people for vaping or smoking on a boardwalk in a public space, open air.
Okay.
So that's my pop-off.
All right. Pop off for you, Xandria. Kamala Harris becomes first sitting vice president to march in the Pride Parade last
Gave
week.
me that one.
Should she have been there? Why or why not?
Oh, gosh. I mean, my thing is that I don't have an issue with what Pride used to represent, but I think it's being politicized now. And I think it's a mistake when different officials try to politicize all of these movements and they remove what they were originally intentioned for. So, you know, if I were her, like if she wants to support, she can support. But I don't think she should be making political statements about it.
Okay.
So, you know, do I care if she was in attendance? If she wants to be in attendance, she has the right to be in attendance. But do I think she should be politicizing it and making it, you know, just using it for her agenda? No.
Okay.
And I don't think the LGBT community would appreciate her using it for their agenda, for her own agenda either.
All right. Well, she was the first VP that's ever been there, so it's going to be politicized, but
Yeah.
okay. All right, next we will go to T.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so Sunday is Father's Day, and a day we celebrate fathers. But the holiday is sometimes overshadowed by single mothers asking to be highlighted on that day. There's a Pinterest dedicated to Happy Father's Day to single moms.
Why she gonna give me this?
They,
I'm about to pop off.
Oh,
Go ahead.
They see it as
Right.
They see it as a validation and a recognition for assuming the role of dad, these single moms. We don't, however, see this on Mother's Day. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think, you know, you hear people say to single moms, oh, Happy Father's Day, you did it all. What is your response?
I think that's stupid.
Okay.
And I think that fathers, I was just thinking on the way here that, I mean, some people might disagree, I'm sure, but I think that fathers are actually better parents than mothers because they also have that protection and that leadership that can guide the children, especially sons, but, you know, both girls and boys, but fathers need more recognition than mothers because, I mean, yeah, we did that labor, we did it. That was a big deal. We brought them into the earth, but for mothers to try to take the recognition, it's your fault that you're single, first of all.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're a single mother, then you need to make it right with God and make it right with the fathers because you're not the father. You are not the father. Period.
All right. Thank you. And lastly, Yana, we need you to pop off on this story. So recently, it's been in the news. Representatives, Congresswomen Ilhan Omar and also Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. So they both have been in the news for equating Israel to the atrocities that happened and for different things. So for instance, I have it here, sorry. I just want to read to you this quick quote that they said so you have some context. Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene she was under fire for saying, talking about masking. She says, we can look back at a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. So she says this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. So she's talking about masking. Similarly, Omar said, she tweeted, we have seen unthinkable atrocities committed by the U.S., Hamas, Israel, Afghanistan, and the Taliban.
Okay.
So both of these ladies are seen as kind of very divisive characters, one on the right, one on the left, if you ask each camp. What are your thoughts on those two ladies, and do they have a place in Congress?
Well, I mean, I have to say, I do agree that they can be divisive, and they can be, I guess I would say, radical on one side or the other. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she stands for, I mean, she has the America First, mentality. And so I have to, side with her because, I mean, she's for this country, even though sometimes whatever she says, it doesn't come off right. And she really, I mean, she probably needs to look at what she's saying, before she tweets or before she, really think how it, her delivery may not be right. However, Ilhan Omar, I mean, she doesn't represent this country. And she is not American, in my view. She does not speak for Americans. She speaks for Somalis, and she speaks for Muslims. And so when she said that, it was funny actually about when she equated Hamas and the U.S. So people in the U.S. said, well, how can you equate the U.S. and Israel with Hamas and the Taliban? Those are terrorist organizations, and these are democratic countries. But then Hamas actually came out and said, how can you equate us with the United States?
They're so confused.
How dare you? So actually, so those people, they speak on behalf, so her and Hamas actually they're closer together than her and the United States.
Okay, very good. All right, so we'll move right along. Please comment, you guys, and let us know what you think about our new segment, Pop Off.
That was cute.
You
I
like
that.
it,
That was
you
fun,
don't like it. Ladies didn't know about it. So
No, we didn't. That
put
was so
everybody
good.
on the hot seat for a moment, but that's all right. Okay, so we are moving right along to Shelly. So you want to give us what you have today. What news?
So yes, I want to start off. We're talking about last week. We were talking about submissive wives. So I thought it would be fun to kind of keep this theme going. And we'll talk about families and what actually makes a family. What is the structure of a family? And I'll start with my premise right now. My premise is, and it's not mine. I'm borrowing from the Bible. But my premise is that it's husband, wife, and children. Now, some people will ask, well, what about people who don't have children, who can't have children? That's still a family. That's still a unit. That is an intact, honorable unit, man and woman, husband and wife. This came about because I know that I have people that I love and care for who are shacking, for lack of a better word.
What's that? What is that?
Shacking. So it's an old term that they've been living with their boyfriends or girlfriends for long periods of time, and they're not married. And so some of the people that I know, they want to be married. The ladies do. They want to be married. And so they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They have their emotions in this relationship. They're not being proposed to or engaged. And so there's some dynamics that come about. There's some family issues, I guess, with the other partners, things like that. These things all come up, but they're so emotionally invested, but yet they're not getting anything other than, I guess, a place to live in this relationship.
So you're saying a family is a mom, dad, and children?
Yes, that's what family is. Married. Well, yeah, let me take that back. I think a family is a mom, dad, and children, even if the parents are not married, but legitimately so to make it, I guess, more structured and more beneficial, more healthy to the women and the children. The marriage needs to be there.
Okay.
That stability is what's missing. when women check up with boyfriends for long periods of time, they are the ones who lose out. That's my premise. They're the ones who lose out in the long.
Because they get used.
Okay.
Well, they're
Ultimately.
used in a way. I don't know. I used to say that. I used to say that they were being used. I don't think so. I don't think they're being used. I think they are acting in a belief that there's something that's going to come from that. Most of the time, it doesn't happen that way. And so in the long run, then we have a whole lot of hurt women and children who still don't have that security and that stability of their parents.
Now, Yana, what's your response? Do you agree with her premise on family?
Generally, I do, and I do agree that that's what happens. And I usually don't advise people to move in together before they're married, because I hear from a lot of couples, it's like, well, we're gonna do this as a test. Well, but when you're doing a test, it's like you're looking for failure. Like you're looking, you're checking off things, like where we're gonna fail. So, and when it does, it doesn't work out, they, it's like, oh, that's it. Or, they might separate. So actually, the percentage of those kind of couples getting married is pretty low. And there's more of them eventually breaking up. Of course, if they've been living for a long period of time, most likely they will remain together. But then I feel like if the woman wants to be married, she wants to be considered a wife, she's kind of missing out, and she's kind of selling herself short. However, I also want to bring up a point that we have to look at what marriage is, and that we do have couples that are married, but they're not valuing that marriage. So even though they had, the ceremony and the papers, I mean, they're divorcing at 50%, and they are not honoring the marriage. So it's true that we may advise people will get married and not, don't live together without marriage, but then it's not enough. We also have to look at, well, what is marriage? Are you ready for it?
I agree.
Yeah, so that's...
So let me ask this, if I could, and open up to you, everybody. So, because you brought up a good point. So we have, on one basis, we have where you think marriage is a major factor in the success and progression of a family, of society, really. But then you also say that marriage should be valued as something, I guess, sacred, and it should be a system to it. Do you guys agree with that?
What do you mean? It should be a what to it?
That marriage should have a value, and it should be taken that way from both spouses.
Yeah, I think so, but I do know people are going to divorce, right? That does not negate the fact that marriage is still the best structure to raise healthy children, the best. Are children raised healthy and with values in single parent homes? They can be, yes. It doesn't mean that marriage is not still the best, and it doesn't mean that even if the people get married after living together a long time, it doesn't mean they're not going to have problems, or that they maybe they will divorce, maybe they won't. What I'm saying is that living together without marriage sets that woman up and maybe those children for long-term heartache, long-term. Go ahead.
Then there's the other argument that you want to move in with someone before you marry them to see if it'll work. I mean, if you have marriage as a goal, then it might be healthy for that. But then, it's still, you don't want to. What is it? You get the milk before the cow. Buy the milk before the cow, because then it's a setup too.
Get the milk for free. Well, I buy the cow and get the milk for free.
Yeah, but that could be a setup. But then you kind of want to know, like, who, because you don't know someone until you know them, and living with them is when you know them.
There is a way to still get to know a person without necessarily.
Of course,
living
people
with
have been
them.
doing
You
it.
can travel together. I mean,
Oh, that will be a test. Yes, that's definitely a test.
Yeah, like I've almost lost friends by
Oh, yeah.
traveling with them. So you.
It was an
Of
experience.
course, you don't. I mean,
But then it's a vacation. Other things happen.
True. So, but I'm just saying, you can still, spend time together.
You
and,
date.
like for long periods of time.
What do you think, Xandria?
Well, I really don't take issue with people moving in before marriage, but I think there's a lot of factors at play in, right? Like if you've been together 6 months months and you're moving in,
Yeah.
maybe not the move, right? If you've been together, like my boyfriend and I were talking about, we want to live together, we want our own space.
To save money too.
We plan to be together in the future. We've been together almost 3 years. So like, you know, I think it just depends, right? And also, there's also the factor of just like, if you're literally going there all the time, why are you both paying for different places? You know, so I think there's a lot of factors that weigh in, but I agree that when there's two parents, and particularly a marriage, right, a mother and a father, I think that does lay the basis for the most structure in a family. But I think we see families of all shapes and whatever now. And
I was going to say just one thing, though. What happens a lot of times is, not a lot of times, but is a larger possibility of happening is when you do live with somebody and you're having sex, and that's when you get somebody. A lot of times you get pregnant.
Yeah.
And so that becomes, so then it breaks away from what you were saying as
marriage.
a marriage. Because you may get married, you may not get married, but do you see what I'm saying? Where if you wait to move in, well, I guess you can still get pregnant.
I don't think it matters where you are.
Having sex, you're
There's
get
also,
a chance to get pregnant.
but I think what's more interesting is, for example, I've known people that maybe their parents separated eventually, but they actually continued to live together.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, for the sake of their kids, and that's just interesting because I do think those kids typically turn out pretty well, and there's just kind of like a mutual arrangement. Maybe the parents don't sleep in the same room, right? They're not together. But the other thing is the reason why some people don't divorce is it's expensive.
It is expensive.
So, and
very
it's a
expensive.
process.
Marriage can be scary, I guess, for some people who maybe already had a bad experience in the past with marriage, and especially men who maybe been hurt by, child custody battles and losing money over the divorce. I mean, it's understandable. But my point was that, what is marriage? And I think we're having trouble in our society now, because marriage was created for you to make those vows and to promise each other that you're going to be together, and also to show the community that yes, we're together now. But it's like, what is marriage now? Like, is it the religious thing? Is it state? It's kind of, not everybody understands marriage differently these days.
Yeah, that's true. It used to be just religious thing, but now it's
You have people in Hollywood that get married and then have open relationships.
right. Well, that's a big thing.
I want to go back to something you said. You said about something about the money or the income.
Yeah.
On your notes.
Okay, research, generally speaking, married couples tend to make more and have I guess a more firm financial foundation, particularly especially when they have kids, because then they have another goal. It's not just about making money just to be making money. They have a dependent, a mouth to feed, someone or people that they need to ensure the welfare of for a long period of time. So.
And also their income usually becomes shared, and they're both aware of each other's financial situation. So there's no surprises.
All right. Well, we will continue to talk about that. Next week we'll talk about polymarriage.
No, we won't.
No, we won't.
Because we are all we sister wives. So. No, I'm joking.
Who's the husband?
God is the husband. Amen.
Hallelujah. Okay. All right. So we are moving right along to
I don't
Yana.
share very well.
Me either. What do you have for us?
Condoms.
Oh God.
I'm sure I don't share very well. I just say condoms. I don't know. Never mind.
Okay.
Sister wives, never mind.
Are you supporting sister
Next-
wives?
Never mind.
Curious to hear
Okay. Before you start, Yana, I want to say, if you guys are enjoying this, if you are still watching with us, please hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, share this video, comment, and like the Metro Conservative Media page. That way, you'll get notifications every time we go live. You'll get notifications about our content. So please, thank you for watching and continue to support. Okay, Yana.
Well, my topic, it's been really bothering me for a few weeks now, and actually now I'm finally seeing it in the media and on the radio, people finally starting to talk about people that are imprisoned after the January 6th situation on the Capitol, and so they have been held prior to trial. So they haven't had trial yet. So it's pre-trial, but they're being held indefinitely in jail, and
No bond?
no, a lot of them are not on bond. Like they're not allowed to, leave. Like bond was rejected.
My God.
And then not on top of that, they're being physically abused.
What?
There's reports of them being beaten, and there's reports of them being emotionally abused. They are treated as terrorists. There's racially motivated attacks on them because they're white people there, and so they're being told there was reported that a guard was beating on somebody saying, "I hate all white people and your honky religion."
Honky?
That's what he was told. Also, it's interesting, Mark Levine, he did a show about, I know, I had to Google the word. I was like, what does that mean?
Oh, you didn't watch the Jeffersons then.
You know,
Like,
had
I
you
didn't
heard
know
it
what that
before?
was.
What the word honky?
Yeah.
I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Oh yeah,
I don't know where
even
that came
that
from.
might be blurred. That might be blurry. It's a racial epithet.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't really.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they
it
said
is,
it on the Jeffersons like in the 80s.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, but
90s.
now,
George Jefferson used to say it
now-
all the
Right.
time.
Yeah. Honky, cracker.
Wait, all right. Well, now you
I
remind me.
didn't know. I didn't know you were listening that
Archie,
Now we're
what's
gonna
his name?
get
Archie
censored.
Bunker. Archie Bunker used to say things like that too. So.
Yeah, he did.
It's a go ahead. Sorry.
Well, Mark Levine, he did a show about the conditions that they held in, and right after that,
Go ahead.
right after the show, they were punished because apparently somebody told Mark Levine to report on their bad conditions, and after that, they were put on 24-hour lockdown and were only allowed to come out for 5 minutes to the shower. And
That's a long shower, 5 minutes.
then
Don't drop the soap.
another thing that I want to bring up is that lawyers are not their lawyers are not allowed to see the 14,000 hours of footage from the Capitol. Yeah, there's 14,000 hours of footage, and
In fact, I ask you. So, do you know, do you know any of the charges that have been brought against these people? Can you?
trespassing.
So this is
I have a
small
list.
stuff.
So it is small. It's
Well, let me hold on.
a lot of it.
There's go ahead.
Just really quick, because I was taking notes earlier. So violent entry, unlawfully entering a restricted building, theft,
Trespassing.
disorderly conduct, and trespassing. I think have been the bulk.
That's nothing.
They should have bonded.
And it's
Haven't gotten a bond
hundreds
for that.
of people that are held like that. Then also the husband of Ashley Babbitt finally he spoke out because the guard that shot her his name was not released.
Right, it hasn't been released yet.
Yeah, so now he's
Suing.
for his name to be released. And so imagine if such injustices were being done to people on the left and to BLM protesters who occupied the entire, what was it, Chaz, whatever that autonomous zone that they created and destroyed the police department.
Burned down
For
property.
Yeah, for months, exactly. And there would have been outrage. There would have been marches and demands for justice for these people. And then also...
Half of these people, if you go by what's her name? Marilyn Mosby, half of these people wouldn't even been arrested.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, not to
That is-
mention the people who were released during COVID. A lot of criminals were released across the country, in a lot of these cities where we see these increases in crime. Since over the last year.
Really quick too, there were a number of BLM attacks on federal buildings,
Yes.
vandalization, break-ins, all those things. And some of those individuals got arrested, but none of it was mediatized or televised the way this is. And that was over
And
months.
they were not held without bond for months.
Yeah.
Indefinitely, cold terrorists.
Hollywood
And
was
attack.
paying their bond.
Well, there
Now-
was. Were you done? I'm sorry.
No, I would just want to say also, my other question is, where's the statement from Donald Trump on this? So these people came out that day to protest the election, and that there was a lot of evidence that the election was not fair, that there's something was wrong, that there has to be investigation. And so majority of people, I mean, obviously like 99% of these people just came out to demonstrate.
Right.
And something happened that some of them got into the building, and also there's reports now, I'm hearing that the FBI
Let them in.
agents were amongst
Yeah, I
the
mean,
people
we
and
knew
were
we knew those
infiltrated, and
details
they were
already.
actually, there was a lot of, how do you say it?
Stirring it up.
Yeah, they were
Stirring
trying,
the pot.
yeah. And
Instigating.
so they came out for him. And so they risked their safety, their lives for him.
Okay,
and
so
And he hasn't said
not.
I want to
He's already
counter that.
addressed
Yeah, I have a
Yeah, I
slight
want to
different
counter
view.
that. Number
Yeah.
one, Donald Trump did already address that. And he also stated, and I'm not quoting him, but he also stated that the people who stormed the Capitol, they were not, he did not encourage them to do that. No, never, I mean, absolutely. But they were not necessarily representing the American way to protest, to rightfully protest the dissatisfaction with the unfair election or seemingly unfair election.
Wait a minute,
So-
So, but she's saying that Donald Trump has not spoken out about the
and
the treatment of these
The
people.
the treatment of these
still in-
people. Okay, so I don't know. He has not, and I don't know that
don't
if
think
he
he should.
did. I don't know if he
It'd be
did, it would make a
benefit.
difference. I don't even think he would get the media coverage, other than maybe in some print things. But he wouldn't get the media coverage. I don't know. I think that if he did that right now, if he did that, it wouldn't help. Number one,
Yeah, I think it
I don't
wouldn't
see
help
where
him.
it would help. I don't know. I don't see where it would help. And now, I don't know. It would make a difference one way or the other. But it would also, the Republicans in Congress, I think the Republicans there now, they should be speaking
Yeah,
up.
I agree.
The Republicans in Congress, the House and the Senate, they should be speaking up, because these are citizens who are not having their due process.
Yes.
Well, and the reason why, one of the reasons why people are finally speaking about it is because the president of Russia, Putin, he spoke about it. Because Russia is always quick on pointing out hypocrisy. When America, in America, we like to point out the human rights
Right.
abuses in other countries, and they do happen. But then these are political opposition to the current administration. This is people who are in opposition, and they are being held as terrorists. A woman was shot, and Putin actually suggested that she was assassinated. So, and he spoke about it, and now the world is finally speaking about these people. So where are the conservatives? Where are people on the same side of the opposition speaking about them? I'm not saying that people need to justify what they did.
Right.
I mean, that was disorderly, what they did, but then what is going on to them right now is
Well,
not
like you
good.
said, I mean, this if you contrast this with the left, if something like this would have happened and a bunch of BLM protesters were arrested and held, what is this? We're in almost
this is-
July.
yeah,
This-
almost 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
And having the treatment that they
How
had,
many?
you're talking
Over
about
the
just
hundreds, like
petty
500
crimes.
people
Some
arrested?
All over
of these
this.
people, petty
In the
crimes.
US.
This would be, they would be livid. The CNN, MSNBC, everybody
They
would be talking
burning
about it.
things.
Right.
And they would be bailing all of them out.
Well,
You
that's
can't bail them out though.
no, I know, but I'm
No,
saying
but
they
they
work
work
for
for
BLM.
BLM.
Right.
We're doing
Right.
that for
It
BLM.
shows
We need to
that-
step it up. We need to step it
It
up.
shows that they
Right.
are very together. The left,
They are.
They stay together
Yeah.
and they fight, for what they want, what they believe
And
in.
bully.
And so, what is going on here?
So what, are you petitioning President Trump to speak on this?
I
President
think,
Trump, please
I
listen
think
to
that
Yana.
we stuck our necks out for him, and he shouldn't be afraid. I don't know if that's going to change anything or do something.
You just think maybe for motivation, for inspiration.
for
I
people
think it
to
would
come
change.
together,
I wanna-
because that situation was used to break us up, to make us fight. Was it right what they did? Was it not right what they did? I mean, majority of people were not breaking anything that
Right,
day.
exactly.
And so we need to stay together, and these people, they need real due process.
Right, due
I agree
process.
with that, yeah.
Due
Fair.
process. What were you saying, Xandria?
I kind of agree with Shelly's point here that you all know why I'm laughing. So, but in that I agree. I don't think it would benefit Trump to necessarily speak on behalf of the individuals that stormed in the Capitol, because he specifically said, you will be prosecuted if you go in and break the law. And I think the left will use that as bait and take it way out of proportion. So I agree that Congress and other conservatives need to speak out and be like, hey, due process. Like, they did, some of these things, disorderly contact, unlawfully entering, they did do those things, right? But I agree, there were individuals who were violent, and then there were individuals that were kind of like in the wrong place, wrong time a little bit. Like, they started outside and then just somehow
They got caught up.
They got caught up
They
with
got
everything.
caught up, which is what happens in
Right.
mob, kind of like that
And-
mob theory.
right.
You
And
get kind of caught up.
The people that were peacefully protesting, they were fine. That's
went
all allowed, right? And there's been so much aggression towards those individuals, and it's like, hey, they're separate. So, that's kind of my standpoint. I just don't think it would benefit Trump. I think there would be so much media backlash, and he has no platform right now to get his view out.
Where is he?
But due process is
Visiting
important.
the
I
border.
agree
He's
with
with
that.
Governor Abbott in Texas, going to visit the border.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, well, again, he's raising awareness about what's going on at the border.
You know I know where my man is.
What's going on? Right. So we will continue to follow this story, and again, we want to raise awareness. Again, we don't support any type of insurrection or pushing into the violence, right? But we do support due process, and everyone deserves that. And it's obvious that these people are not getting it. You went through the list of crimes that we've seen, and these are things that Marilyn Mosby wouldn't even prosecute.
She would not.
So again, we're going to continue to
The
follow
double
this
standard.
story. Yes, and comment, please. Comment on this. Like our page. Subscribe. We would like to hear from you all on this issue, and we will review the comments and then check and see what you're saying next week. All right, so next, we haven't done this in a while, but we want to do our pop flop. So this is something we have. We're going to talk about, we have here Maryland Delegate Learman, and she has a new crime strategy. This is actually rallying what Mayor Brandon Scott is doing. Watch this.
Crime and increased trees.
You get the opposite relationship where more trees actually equals higher
Crime.
The studies say it's all of Baltimore City and Baltimore County.
We are going to plant 5 million trees.
All trees matter.
I just want to celebrate.
Oh, yes.
There are
okay.
numerous
So,
studies,
Kind of roughly,
All right.
sort of.
Yeah.
and that's going to have
So,
huge
again,
and immediate
this is
positive
Maryland
impacts on all of our
delegate.
constituents.
Needs to be
And
more
her
research on
strategy
this.
to fight
Remarkable-
crime in Baltimore City. Now, you guys heard we are 151 murders.
Right.
People want to defund the police on the left, and this woman has added a new crime strategy: planting trees.
5 million. So there are about 6 million people in Maryland. So each one of us pretty much is going to have a tree.
And become green giants. So we'll fight the crime through trees with
So who's
branches
gonna
and
plant all
leaves.
these trees?
Us,
Oh, is everyone is supposed to plant a tree
Yeah.
now? Is that?
People won't even pick up their own trash.
Right.
I mean, we have abandoned houses.
Well, we can stick them in the potholes in Baltimore City.
should
they
we
already,
plant
there's
tree
already a
next
hole
to
there.
An abandoned house. Like, can't we fix the house?
Right.
first?
Can we fix the houses? Can we fix the trash? Can we get rid of rats?
So,
I mean, so many other
what's her
things.
justification? So we plant a tree to take the distraction from killing or
She says that statistics
Doing
show,
crime?
or some type of data she has, where trees defer or
She's correlating some studies, or she's correlating the same concept as when it's warm outside. If and the ice cream truck comes, and you have more crime. So she's conflating like 2 or 3 different studies that shows tree growth, and she's nonsense.
she must be a flat earther.
It's nonsense. She's a flat brainer.
Yeah, that could be possible.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we do have a couple of announcements. So again, we have an event this weekend. Saturday is Juneteenth. So there is a gala being held by the Frederick Douglass Foundation, Maryland Black Republican Council, and then also the Baltimore City Republican Party are having a gala in Baltimore City. If you want more information regarding that, just go to Eventbrite. We also have it on the Metro Conservative Media page. It's going to be a great time, music, food. We have keynote speaker Bob Woodson will be speaking at the event. So we're honoring local Maryland people, two people, Fred Price from PG County and Victor Clark from Baltimore City, who have been trailblazers for conservatives, black conservatives in Maryland. So come out to that Saturday, 6:30 until 10 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Oh, and did you mention that the House just voted to make Juneteenth a national holiday?
Oh, right.
It hasn't gone through the Senate yet, but
Yeah. So, yeah.
Speaking of Maryland, I mean, heavenly birthday to Tupac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tupac.
Oh, okay, you feel me?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So he was one of my good actors, like one of my favorite actors and rappers too.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. Okay.
Jeans too.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, he has something in common.
With Jean.
It's kind of a running joke we have. Her boyfriend and me. Well, let it alone. But anyway, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
We can go back to one of the old
Xandria, she's red.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I think that's everything for yeah, she's bright red. I'm joking.
I know.
Okay. All right.
No
so,
complaint.
We
got the goodies, though.
Yeah. All right. So we are wrapping it up. Thanks again for watching. We will see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. God bless and count your blessings.
Wait, do we have an after show today?
no.
No, we're not.